Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Bullets and Bourbon. I'm Matt Gunlock, and I'm joined by two friends from the tactical games community, Nate and Blayr Drumm. I met them both in August of 2022 at the TTG team event right before I retired. Watched them compete as a team and continue to see them as I attended more events. They're an amazing couple and just good people, and I've been looking forward to recording this episode for a while. So, Nate, Blayr, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And to the listeners, like we have recorded Nate in the past. I think we've done two episodes together so far, maybe three. I can't remember.
For sure, too. It might be three, actually. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, this might be the fourth that we've had you on. I don't know.
Might be.
But no, I mean, I always enjoy talking to you, whether we're both driving or just, checking in on each other. So like it's always been a pleasure. And Blayr, I do really appreciate you coming on. I think this is going to be a good episode. Um, so we have had Nate on a couple times now, as previously stated, but Blayr, this is your first time. So can you kind of give yourself a quick introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Blair Drum. I am a tactical games competitor primarily. I'm by trade a nutrition coach, and I also do personal training for departments, large groups, organizations, and individuals. I also coach at my CrossFit gym, and I do custom meal prep locally for my clients I mean, I have clients everywhere, all over the United States, but I do meal prep for my local clients. So that's kind of a perk of being in Louisiana and working with me. So yeah, that's primarily what I do.
And I've heard great things. Like I have friends that have used your meal prep stuff, and I've heard nothing but great things about it. I was thinking the other day, I was like, I need to talk to Blayr about like getting some meal prep stuff at some point because like I got the physical side, and I was talking to a friend Tess last night, and it kind of sparked my thought process. And she's like, "How much protein do you consume? Enough? How many calories do you take in a day?" My wife was like, "You don't know." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know." How much carbs do you take in? I don't know. And
Yeah,
it's just like,
plead the
all
fifth.
right, I need to start like getting this stuff down because yeah, the programming I'm on is just kind of it's tough programming. I'm doing the Mayhem Athlete Hero of the Day programming, and that's
Eh,
an hour and a half to 2 hours commitment a day. And if you don't fuel yourself right, you're gonna feel it and you're not gonna recover properly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's rare that you see couples compete in the shooting sports together. Do you guys train together, or would you say due to varying work schedules, you both make it work when you can? And then what does a typical training session look like when you do train together?
Well, we've been training together a lot more recently. I would say like since your job change, we've been able to
yeah,
train a lot more together.
yeah.
It used to be separate. Back when I was trying to really hit the range and work on my shooting a lot more, I was going by myself a lot. I also got a coach. So we were kind of separate in that. I would go to a different indoor range, and he would stay at our outdoor range that we're members of. But now we're together most of the time that we train, unless you're like testing ammo or something.
Yeah, because was it last year you were shooting like 500 rounds a day?
Yeah,
Was it like all through
Hell
last
yeah.
year? Yeah.
I was shooting a
So
lot, like
she was,
USPSA style shooting.
yeah,
So I was going through
yeah.
ammo.
So Blair, the really, so you know when you find someone who's coachable, right?
Yep.
And you find someone who is not going to push back. So that's Blair. So she's sought information from high-end people and she grabs it. And so she was training a SWAT team. And so while she was there, she grabbed the attention of one of the firearms instructors and was like, "Hey, you're really good at, this physical. See, I see that." He's like, "How is your shooting?" And so he started shooting. He's like, "There's definitely some room for improvement." And he basically said, "If you want, I will show you what I know." And she took it, and it was a huge that catapulted her forward. She was able to get a lot of good information. Like I said, What might not have been like 500 rounds every day, but she averaged 500 a day
Yeah.
and 3 times a week or more.
I was shooting 2 to 3 times a week.
And so she, a lot of people see the end result, but they don't see the process. And Blair grinded last year. So I,
Yeah, I'd be leaving the range at like 8 o'clock at night.
yeah. So like I didn't get to train with her a lot last year, but that also had to do with my work when I was still in fire investigations. So,
Hmm.
um, kind of what Blair said. After I went back to the fire truck and we started training more together. So we kind of brought our knowledge together and we started, um, I've never really shot a lot of USPSA, but she was doing a lot. So she would bring that knowledge and I would show her, like long range stuff and, you know, bullseye type stuff, the slower version, so then you were starting to mix speed and accuracy. So like, this year we're definitely training together. So like, when we do train together, Blair is really good. Again, she's a lot more structured than I am, so I give her the credit for that. So she's like, "Look, I'm gonna go do my warm up," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I'd watch her warm up, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do that." So she has a very distinct pistol warm up to get, starts with dry fire, ends with live fire, before we start running drills, or you know, if we're just trying to verify zeros or whatever. Like if we go to the range, like she's 100% going to do her warm up. So we do that. And then, sometimes it depends on how much time we have, but if we have a day dedicated, we'll look at pulling out some tactical games style targets
Hmm.
and, bringing out the C2 bike.
I always beg him to let me take my bike.
So we'll bring, yeah,
That thing is evil.
yeah. So we'll bring something out there to get our heart rate up. If not, if we don't have equipment, then we'll just run or do burpees or something, and we'll just test the targets, and then, um, sometimes we'll now that we're starting to see the aggregates come back, so we're going to start doing steel when we can,
Mhm.
stuff like that, and you know, working props, tank traps, and modified barricades, things like that.
Yeah.
Like that. That's what we'll do. So we might not shoot a lot. We're
No.
we're really maximizing the training with a lower round count now.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense. Like, it's not about how much you shoot, it's about how efficient you are utilizing that time and the type of training that you conduct. That's one of the things I learned. Like, and it's one of the things I told the guys on the shooting team. It's like it's not about how many rounds you shoot, it's about what you do with the rounds that you have.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I got a question for you, Blair, because like you were putting close to 500 rounds down range a day. Did you ever find yourself hitting a burnout point, and how would you get yourself out of that at times?
Yeah, so actually when I first started shooting, I didn't really understand like what the burnout point meant. I started shooting, I would say the first person that actually coached me shooting besides Nathan was Jared Halbert. And we were at the range in Texas and he was like, "All right," I was shooting and he was like, "All right, we're done." And I was like, "What do you mean we're done?" And he was like, "I could tell that you're at burnout."
Hmm.
I'd only been out there for like an hour, but I was brand new to shooting. Like I'd never been coached before. I'd never shot that much before. And he was like, "There comes a time where you're at a point of diminishing return. You need to just shut it off and we'll start again tomorrow." And as I've progressed, I've noticed that that wall has gotten further and further. Like now I can shoot, for 2 to 3 hours. But like the reason my range schedule or my range time is segmented the way it is like to control burnout. So just like in the gym, it's like if you don't know what you're doing in the gym, you're gonna walk into the gym, you're gonna do like 10 bicep curls and you're gonna leave, right?
Yep.
Like, you're gonna
Yep.
look at the machines and you're gonna do 10 bicep curls and you're gonna leave. Um, so that's kind of what I did at first on the range. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And like for Nathan, it comes so natural to like know what he's doing on the range and he'll just kind of go through the motions. But I had no clue what I was doing. It's like somebody walking into the gym for the first time, not knowing what a single machine is or how to use it.
And it's daunting, and it can be scary at times too.
Yeah. So he was working all the time, and I basically was like, look, if I'm gonna get better at this, and this was before I met my shooting coach, I was like, if I'm gonna get better at this, I have to figure something out. And
Hmm.
I'm just gonna write it out like a CrossFit workout. I'm just gonna write it out as like 4 rounds of, this and or like every minute on the minute for this many rounds, I'm gonna do this because like it made sense in my brain.
Yeah.
And it didn't make sense in Nathan's brain because it's like welding two disciplines that he knows together. Um, but I kind of use that now. It's like, okay, I have a skill session. I have like a accessory work type of a thing, type of if you want to call it accessory work, and then which could be like barricade work, VTAC, you know, those types of things. And then I have like Metcon at the end, which is honestly for me just to decompress and have fun. It's like I'm shooting at high heart rate, like I'm on my bike, I'm doing what I love. I'm doing farmer's carry, I'm shooting single handed. I'm doing what we do in the tactical games, which some people will say doesn't necessarily make you a better shooter. It actually can make you worse if that's the only way you train. But for me, it's just fun. It's like, okay, I've done all the hard stuff. I've done the skill work. I've done my homework. I've done the all the tedious stuff that I need to do. And now I'm gonna have like 20 minutes of fun where I get to shoot and do what I enjoy. Not that I
Yeah.
don't enjoy the hard stuff, but it's just fun to like get out there and move and shoot. That's why we compete in the first place. So
Oh, absolutely. I remember my first summer on the Marine Corps shooting team, and I went to the shooting team to compete in three gun, and then they were like, "Hey, we need you to be the staff NCOIC of the Bullseye Pistol team." I was like, "Bullseye Pistol? What the fuck is that?" Like, I had no idea what it was, and I get out there, and it's all static, one-handed, 25-yard and 50-yard shooting, and I'm just like, "What the fuck did I just get myself into?" And and quite honestly, like you think it's simple. Like one-handed shooting isn't simple. 50 and 25-yard shooting isn't simple. But you look at it as like this is super slow. This is easy. No, it was not easy. And like we were out there all summer long, from April until July, 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours a day, just on the range shooting. And the burnout was real. It's like, you're 4 hours into it and you're like, I need a break. And you do take breaks. It's like after like warm up, you warm up and do everything. It's like, okay, I need a break. And so like what we started to do is just build in, take your own breaks whenever you see that burnout and the diminishing returns come and then come back to it. And I mean, we were only shooting, I mean, it's a lot, but for the amount of time we were out there, we were shooting maybe 200 to 400 rounds in a day, for the amount of time that we were out there.
yeah.
That's a lot.
And yeah, and the amount of concentration that goes into it, it's unreal. You don't realize how much you have to concentrate just on one or two things, and then that's the only thing that you think about. And it's not, it's second nature, but at the same time, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
What about your workout schedules? Do you guys work out in the gym together a lot, or has that kind of, based on what you need, like Nate'll do what he needs to do, and then Blayr, you do what you need to do. And I've seen Blayr, I've seen you like, you know, destroy Nate, not like working out wise, but like you programmed his workout and he's just laying on the ground in a pool of sweat at the end.
Yeah.
We work out together whenever he's off. Like we'll go in the mornings. Um, I actually really like that. But we'll do partner style workouts together. Like I might have something planned later in the afternoon and he might be reloading later in the afternoon, but we'll go to the gym together in the morning. Sometimes if like he needs to run and I'm not running that morning, like he'll, go run. But other than that, I mean, we try and whenever he's off, we try and work out together. And it's generally like either like a morning mono type workout or it's a partner workout. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So like when I'm at the fire station, I'll ask Blair, like she'll give me I'm not the guy to ask to plan a workout. I'm not that guy. Like you want to go learn how to shoot, like ask me that. If you want to figure out how to make your guns work, ask me that. Don't ask me how to plan a workout because That's just my brain doesn't work that way. So
So what
um,
I'm getting out of this is, Blair, you do all the planning in the household, and Nathan, you just ride on her coattails.
I am
It's
I
like
am
that with
I
vacation
am
too.
great at execution. You give me that, I mean, you know this, like you give me that paragraph, 5 paragraph order, and I'm like, to the T, I will have this thing executed. So
Yep.
like
It's like
but
that with vacations too. I'm like, hey, we're going to Key West these dates. I planned our Airbnb. I booked our flight. He's like, okay.
well, that also is just like I've learned to just like,
Let it ride.
yeah, like there's some husband wisdom in that one. So but so like at the fire station, I'll try and, you know, some days you just can't get a workout in, like, but most days you can. So I'll get something in there. Like right now, I'm focusing on getting my strength back from my ankle. So like that, like if nothing else, I'll run a little bit on the treadmill, but I'm going to start getting back into like squatting and just building my legs because I feel them being weak. But like when I am off, like I'll get off. I get off work around 6, so I'll make it home somewhere between 6:30 and 7 in the morning, and we'll go work out some way somehow. Like she's really good at, we'll do a 2-part workout sometimes where it's like individual and then we have a little break and then we come together, do a partner, or we'll go to a local park and go run because if we need to get running and like rucking, do whatever. So
Mhm.
we're working out together more now than we have in probably over a year,
Yeah, seriously.
maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And I remember one of our last conversations we had, you described how your whole mindset since you started this new job, a lot of your mindset and your positivity and your motivation has just come back because you were just feeling, in a sense, dragged down. And people don't realize, like, whenever you have those mental blocks up just from the stressors of daily life like that, it can really significantly impact future performance.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like, and I'm pretty open about this. I'll tell people like I should have listened to her. So I did investigations for 8 years, and 2 years in, she told me you need to just go back to the fire truck. And I felt like I was trapped, like I had to do it, right? Didn't want to quit, didn't want to give up. Felt like I had to be there, and so
That was like 2019, right?
2016, so 17, 18, yeah, 2018, 2019,
Mhm.
somewhere in there, and because like the first year wasn't too bad,
Mhm.
but then like year 2 and 3 it kind of started getting real bad, and then anyways, like I should have listened to her and gone, but I didn't. So, but after you get out of a toxic environment, you don't realize how bad off you are.
Yeah.
Like she could see it and she tried to tell me and I just couldn't. It made I mean, I can't tell you the difference it made. If you could go further than 180 without turning around back on yourself, like that's how much it changed. Like, and I know there's other, I don't know. I'm not saying it's only a man thing, but like if you're like an alpha type mentality person, you don't want to feel like you've quit or given up on something. But like, I'm here to tell you, like, if nothing else, like, if you if you feel trapped or if you feel like you can't get out of something, like, I promise you, you can.
Hmm.
You can change your life and your work. Like, you might think that it won't work, but
It's a level of self-awareness that you have to come to grips on your own, or listen to the people telling you and just be smart about it. You're absolutely right. Mental blockages and mental health is a real thing that most people don't realize the significance of how much it can just affect daily life and relationships and motivation to push yourself further than what you think you can.
100%. Like that is, yeah. Like it, I try and tell as many people as I can right now, like if you're not happy, not like, oh, well, things aren't going my way. Like, no, but
Yeah.
like if you're like depressed and there's something legitimately wrong, like, man, make a change. Like reach out to
And
somebody, talk to somebody.
yeah, and I mean, you and I, like, I think we had somewhat similar experiences with toxic leadership in the past. You most recently, and me, like my last couple years in the Marine Corps, having a toxic leader, and it can really it just I remember it like it was yesterday. You just hated going into work. You didn't want to be around there, and it could be the best job in the world, but because you have terrible leadership, it just really affects the outcome of what you're trying to achieve. And I'm open and honest. My last 2 years in the Marine Corps were some of the worst 2 years of my entire career, and those should have been some of the best years on one of the best duty stations I could have ever had. But because of one person, and it's usually whoever's at the top, they can really affect the outcomes of what occurs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could mirror exactly what you just said. Yep. And it's
But
being on the other side now, and I know you can appreciate it too. Like it's man, it's the
it's
best.
life changing.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, very much so.
But Nate, you kind of already alluded to this, but you had a serious ankle injury, and I don't think people realized how significant that injury was because you ended up having surgery on it. Um, but what was your rehab like? And then for Blayr, how much did you have to monitor Nathan's recovery and make sure he didn't go too hard too soon?
Um, yeah, so the surgery or the injury. Okay, so yeah, I didn't go into like small circles of people knew how bad it was.
Hmm.
I didn't go into great detail and big picture because I didn't want it to be a big deal. Um, but so anyone who's ever had a ligament injury, tendon or ligament, you know that once you injure it, it doesn't get better. It just progressively gets worse. So I originally hurt my ankle in high school in wrestling, and I progressed further and further while injuring it. So I injured it while in the Marines, I think like 3 or 4 times, pretty serious, both ankles. Like on deployment, training, like doing Bangalore rushes, doing stupid stuff. So, and it would swell up and then it would heal and, it'd take like a month or something. And then, I kept injuring it, hurt in fire department. And, so we were competing in 2023.
Yeah.
He was 23 because I was
In
in
Nevada.
Masters. Yeah, in Nevada. And, I was coming over a wall. I was racing Kirk Homer because that dude's a rabbit, cardio rabbit. So I was trying to race him, trying to keep up with him, going over a wall, and there was a flash flood in that area. So, like I said, the ground was kind of washed away, and so when I jumped down, my ankle just hit just perfectly right, and I felt 2 pops, and I was like, crap. I finished that stage. That was the last stage on day one. Got it wrapped up. I thought I just, heard it like I had before. I was just going to keep going forward, and then it really, really hurt. Like it started hurting more and more. So one of our friends that was there with us works in a PT doctor's office, and she's like, "You really need to come and check it out." So I go to a specialist, straight to a specialist, and the guy that looks at my MRI and looks at my ankle, he goes, "Yeah, this is above me. I got to send you to a specialist." And I was like, "I thought you were the specialist." He goes, "No, no, no, no. Like I do like 3 things. You're gonna go see the ankle guy." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So, which honestly, I'm appreciative because there's a lot of people that would have, you
They would
know,
have cut on you.
yeah, like just whatever. So I ended up going and seeing the other specialist, and he looks at it, he grabs my ankle, he looks at the MRI, and he's like, "Man, I'll be honest, like I've seen injuries like this, but I don't know how you've been walking and running. Like this is pretty bad." So like what I did is I tore my ATFL, which is the ligament that runs across your ankle, and then I partially tore um, 2 other ligaments, and then I tore an inch of cartilage on the front of my ankle. Um, and so he's like, yeah, he's like, you don't have to have surgery, but you can't really keep doing what you're doing if you don't. He's like, it's up to you. He's like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. And I was like, well, I have one more competition. It's the national championship. And he's like, he kind of looks at me like, you're,
You're playing with fire.
yeah, he looked at me and he goes, all right, that's on you. He's like, just come see me afterwards. I was like, all right. So, and nationals didn't give me too much trouble, except for obviously we had that. I mean, if they could have picked a worse run for me, that would have been, I don't know, a
Oh,
worse.
I think I heard about this run. Carla was telling me about that.
It's like,
It was through that park and it was like all uphill and then all right back downhill.
It's
yes,
all
it
stairs.
was all
Yeah.
stairs. It was very technical, running through creek beds. Um, so yeah, it was pretty much one of the worst runs I probably could have picked. And so, I mean, and people kept trying to cheer me on as I was running through it, and I honestly was like, "You're good, I appreciate it, but just keep going. I
Hmm.
can't really be faster." And Kirk Homer actually ended up coming back and trying to help me through, and it definitely helped, and I really appreciated him doing that. But like when I got to the finish line, like I literally collapsed, and I was like, I was on the verge of tears. It was pretty bad. So, um, but I mean, rope climbs didn't hurt it. I just didn't have a lot of dynamic strength. So like we had that year was the year of freaking burpees, bro. Like that was the burpee Olympics at that champ. Burpees over a box, burpees through a weave, burpee through this, and so it's like I just didn't have that kind of dynamic range, and so that definitely hurt me too. But so, anyways, that I guess that's like the long version of what happened, and then so I have surgery done in December, and the hardest part for me was is that I couldn't put weight on it for what 2 months.
It was a long
It's
time.
like
I
two
think it was
months.
6 weeks non-weight bearing.
Yeah, it was 6 weeks
Mhm.
non-weight bearing. And then once they took the cast off, oh, so I had to talk my doctor into taking the cast off early so I could go to SHOT Show and walk around 10 miles a day on crutches. Also, probably not the best idea. Um, so
Man,
yeah, I
let's
had it.
just see Blair shaking her head.
Yeah, so like it was pretty bad. Like it was, I had it in a brace, and so it was like swollen pretty much
You were
most of the.
miserable
Oh yeah, that
the whole
was
time.
that was not a good time for me. That was pretty rough. But so did that, and then I started. So luckily, I had a good friend of mine that is a PT in New Orleans, and I was talking to him, and I said, "Hey, man, I need a PT that's like us because I got to get back in the fight like quick." So he's like, "Yeah, I know a guy that went to PT school with me. He's in Baton Rouge. He's who you're looking for." I was like, "All right, cool." So I was very, very lucky. Luke Bunch, which he's also a shooter, so he absolutely understood it.
Hell yeah.
Um, so he got me back. Like he was aggressive in a good way, not in a bad way. And there was times where I was like sweating buckshots in a 68-degree room, and everyone just kind of stopped and they were like watching them trying to work on my ankle because it was kind of rough. I'm not gonna lie, but that that he for the physical portion he was the big reason of getting it through it. Blayr helping me on the help like emotional like the other side like that, so
Mhm.
that was definitely what allowed me because they told me I wasn't even supposed to start competing for almost a year,
Holy shit.
so I think I was off 6 months,
Mhm.
and then I went back and yeah, so all yeah, you can yeah, I probably did a lot of stuff I wasn't supposed to do, but it was all right. It worked out.
Blair, what were your conversations with him with this type of stuff and
I
how did
mean,
you work it?
you really didn't try to go back like super early. I mean, whenever he did get the cast off, he definitely like tried some things. Like I remember one day he had like just gotten the cast off and he walked up to the rope at the gym like he was about to climb it, which if you climb a rope the way we do, you have to like basically wrap your foot around the rope and step on the rope with your other foot, your non-dominant foot. So like you're putting a lot of flex on your ankle. And I'm like, I looked at him and like right before he did it, and he looked at me, and I was like, do not do that. Do not do, why would you even think about doing that? Do not do that. Because I could just see like all the screws ripping out of his like freshly uncasted ankle. We got to start all over again. That was the only thing that, I think he did that, oh Lord, our dog's got a squeaky toy. That was the only thing that he did that I think was like him rushing back, but he was so ready to just use his ankle again
Hmm.
and be able to do. I mean, he was going to like a Globos gym, like doing bodybuilding type stuff, but he was doing like bench press, shoulder press, he was super. I mean, it was zero legs, zero lower body. So I think he was just ready to get back. But I wouldn't say that you super rushed it. He rushed going back to SHOT Show and he going to SHOT Show, and he paid for that
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah, I remember the only thing that I remember rushing was double unders. Like I went to go jump.
She just got another one. She's relentless. She's very,
I remember the double unders, and the double unders did not go well.
yeah, yeah, he went back to jump rope really fast. And I think he did like a few reps and then he looked and he was like, nope, I cannot do this.
Yeah.
Box jumps. Like he didn't box jump for a long time. He did step overs.
Man, I'll be honest, I
Um,
didn't start doing box jumps in
Step
probably
ups.
till
Yeah.
like the last couple months.
Oh wow.
So I would just step up. Um, I would find like a really low box, like a 12-inch box. I started with a 12-inch box. I would do like box jumps with that. And then I worked up to like a 18 and then a 20. And then it probably box jumping to a 24-inch. I mean, I'll be honest, probably wasn't until like the last couple months.
Wow.
I just, and she helped put this in my mind. She goes, "What's the point? Like, what are you gaining from that?"
Now you're telling me that.
Yeah.
Damn.
So, she's like, what's the risk versus reward for doing a box jump right now? It's like you can get the stimulus by stepping up, right? You're not as dynamic, but you can still, it's like, yeah, you're right.
It's just
So,
like a pride thing, right? You want to RX it. You want to do the workouts as standard. You want to get back.
Yeah.
well, you just want to feel normal again, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, since we're on the subject of injury, like my biggest fear, like, and me, and you, Nate, we're not spring chickens no more. Like we break when we break easy, and when we do break, it's recovery. And my biggest worry is breaking. So like every time I do something now, it's like it's extremely focused. Like I try and be as, just I try and do everything as best as I can without overdoing it. And some people think I'm fucking crazy for, lifting the 250-pound bag or even trying to start working a 300-pound bag. But it's like, hey, I get your concern. And my grandmother's one of the worst. She's like, you're gonna give yourself a hernia. And it's like, thanks, Granny, but I've been progressively increasing, the weight of the bag, and it's not like it's just my first time doing it. I started with the 100-pound bag, and then, I moved to the 150-pound bag and like worked on that bag for probably 6 months, and then I got a 200-pound bag, and my whole thing, I spent an entire year just working getting that up to the chest before I would even start getting it up to the shoulder. And then the 250-pound bag, I spent an entire year with that
Yeah.
before I even started getting that up to the shoulder. That way I wasn't injuring myself.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. So, and I was just talking to someone about this either today or the other day, and I was like, you know, it used to be I didn't have to warm up or cool down.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I didn't really start noticing that until I would say probably the past 6 months. Because probably like you, I would just go straight into a workout without even thinking about warming up. I could pick up anything, I could do anything. And now it's like, that feels heavy. Like, and so I would have to go to a lighter weight, start just getting a good warm up in, and then I can move into the heavy stuff. And like switching over to the mayhem programming, like I I wanted to do something to where I didn't have to think about any of the workouts I wanted to do. I just wanted to write everything on my whiteboard from what I got in the app and then just go. It just takes one less thing off of my plate that I have to think about during the day. And um everything starts with a warm up. And then once you're done with the regular warm up, it's like, okay, now you're doing a movement warm up just to get used to the weights that you're going to be doing. And it's not like you start out at a slow pace, you start out at a lightweight, and then they work you up to the weight that you're going to be working out with. And then you go into the heavier, and then you actually go to that. And then it switches to another workout, and you have to warm up to that workout again.
Yeah, because I mean, we've all done the hey, I'm gonna warm up in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Those days are few and far between now. Like now, you got to actually be more deliberate in everything, and because like one of our friends, Jared will say this. He's like, "Hey man, like you're always one bad lift away from, especially getting old."
Destruction.
Yeah. So it's like, be wise. I don't, Jason Deal and I were talking about this in Arizona, and I was like, he's like, yeah, we definitely could still go back to elite. Like we definitely can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
At what cost?
what it takes to train to be competitive. Now, if you just want to go and have a good weekend, I mean, you could do that.
But
Like
if you want to win,
yeah, if you want to win and you want to be competitive, what it takes to train in the elite division, it takes a massive toll on your body. And like I've torn my patellar tendon twice. I've gotten, well, I mean, I hurt my ankle. Just certain things like it wears on you. Like uh, my and then patellar tendinosis came back, and then I don't know, shoulders, whatever. Like just everything takes a toll on it. And there, I'd love to go back to elite and just hang out and go do more, but it's like, and I probably will now that my, with everything with my ankle, but like not as a standard. Like
yeah.
I think ship is cruised on. I'll
Oh yeah.
pop in and out, but like Masters is where I'm at.
Yeah, like I know I'm going to South Carolina in May and I'm gonna do Masters 40, which, I've done tactical, I've done intermediate. Tactical was fun, and I know the weights in tactical in Masters 40 are pretty much the same, but I also understand that tactical Masters 40 is pretty much the retirement home for you elite guys. I've never competed in elite, so it's like, okay, well, I know Jason Deal's going to be down there. It's like this should be interesting, and I'm kind of excited in a sense too because it's like, okay, I'm going to Masters 40. There's a good group of guys. Like that's an extremely competitive division, and it's like, let's see where I fall out in this. Let's see if my programming, if my preparation, really holds true, and I think it will. I'm the strongest and the fittest I've been in 7 years. I would say 7, 8 years. So I'm excited.
No, it it's the Masters division is extremely competitive. It's funny because the weights are the same as Blair's, so she always makes fun of me. She's like, "Oh, you're doing my weight."
I'm like, "Pete, we
Yeah, I'm
can
like,
compete together in the same
yeah,
heat."
yeah. I could be like, I'm the second fittest elite female. So, uh, uh, some weights are heavier, like so, like the bags, we'll go heavier on the bags and
Yeah.
certain things. But like, yeah, that's our little running joke. But like, the shooting is definitely super competitive in the Masters. Like,
There's
there's
some shooters there.
there's some straight gangsters in there. Like, and there's new ones popping up all the time. So like, I don't know if he's competed before, but I met him for the first time in Arizona like a week or two ago. And he got Matt Josh Reeves. So he's a competitive shooter. I think he did like three gun and like PRS stuff out in Arizona. And dude, I mean, he runs well, he moves well, he shoots well. Like he got
He's the
second.
full package.
He is, yeah. And like He got second. So it was me, Josh, and Jason on the podium, and like nothing is given in that division. Like you got to earn it. It's tough. Just like in any other division, like elite. Uh, I mean, in tactical, the big thing. So I've had a lot of guys ask me, should I do tactical or should I do masters? I'm like, the weights are the same.
Hmm.
The big difference is that you're not going against 20-year-olds. So like if you go want to go run against 20-year-olds, like people half your age, go for it.
Have fun.
Yeah, like if some people want that, they're like, yeah, I want to go see how I stack up to those guys. I'm like, go for it. Just know that's the difference. Like, and so I said, if you want to come out, have a good time, like test your gear, test you, and see how you stack up to against that. Like, come do masters. And I almost everyone that chooses to go masters, they come up to me and they say, you're absolutely right. I'm really glad I went masters. I haven't heard anyone yet say, man, I wish I would have gone and done tactical.
Hmm.
Not saying you shouldn't, but like that's where I'm at. Like if you never had any big injuries in your life, like if you didn't treat your body like an amusement park, like yeah, go
Yeah.
do. But like if you're 40 years old with the body of a 60-year-old, then yeah, like come hang out with us.
If you hear your knees crunching, you might want to do masters.
So like I went to my chiropractor yesterday and she was working on my shoulder. She goes, I can hear this clicking. And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't worry about that. Like
Yep.
the process.
I'll stand up from my desk chair at work, and you'll just hear the snap crackle pop from it, and people are looking at me like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Oh, don't worry about it. It's just 20 years of bullshit.
Yeah. It's when it stopped making noise. That's when you got to worry.
Yep. So, um, Blair, we've kind of already touched on this, but I still got some questions. Again, your shooting skills have improved exponentially this year between and especially like your focus and confidence. Like one thing I could see is just your focus and confidence have been through the roof. What kind of advice would you give others to help improve their game on that?
Man, I mean, the only thing that really changed with me is just my mindset shifted from I have to be at the gym. I have to be at the gym. I'm not getting enough training time in because that was kind of like my mindset with CrossFit because I was trying to make it at the highest level I could there to, okay, I need to take at least 25% of this gym time and change it to range time. And it ended up being 25%, but then as nationals got closer and closer, it ended up being about 50%. And then the closer and closer it got, it ended up being like 75%. So um honestly, the biggest aid for me was having a coach. I mean, you really can't, I mean, it's hard.
The coach is going to help point out your flaws, and they're going to see the stuff that you don't see when you're pressing that trigger.
Yes. You have somebody watching you every time you press the trigger.
Hmm.
You can film and you can set up tripods and you can do all this stuff, but like you have a non-biased opinion or not someone who's non-biased watching you move and pull the trigger. I mean, for me, it was like every rep. Sometimes he would shoot with me, but most of the time he was watching me. So I mean, honestly, if I were to like attribute any of my gains, like like a big part of them would be to him because I mean, he wasn't like he did it out of the kindness goodness. Like he wasn't getting paid. He just wanted to help me. He was like, look, I really think that you could be the best at this. Like, and I think it was somebody having such like confidence in me. Because I feel like, and I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like in the tactical games, like I was always looked at as like one of the girls that was like a CrossFitter that hadn't learned to shoot yet.
Hmm.
And like all the like really good shooters, and I'm talking like OG tactical games days. I'm not talking now. I'm talking like 2019, like
Right.
2020. When you had the shooters come in, they were like, okay, well, there's like a division here. There's like the CrossFit girls that haven't learned how to shoot yet. And
Hmm.
then there's the girls that do a little bit of fitness, but have been in the game for a long time with the shoot
Shooting sports, yeah.
in general. So, and I feel like now that division has kind of like gotten really muddled and you can't really tell the difference for the most part. But back then I just really didn't have the confidence because I was wearing that badge of like, okay, I'm the CrossFitter that is trying to learn to shoot. But then I had, a coach. I mean, Nathan had told me the whole time, but it's like different when somebody that's not your husband tells
There
you.
I
and
often tell people the worst person you can have, like a husband should never be coaching and teaching their spouses, because in no disrespect, but the spouse isn't going to listen to them. I remember one of my closest friends, Chris Scott. He's one of the best. At the time, he was one of the best shooters in the country, and he's still a high level shooter. But he doesn't shoot nearly as much as he used to. But like he took his wife shooting, and he was like, "Dude, that was like a bad idea." Like it, and it comes down to it doesn't matter how good you are. It's you have to have that unbiased look um of somebody else kind of telling you because they're going to listen to that person a bit more.
yeah, and that's what, and I told her that when we first started in 2019, we had what, like 6 months to get you shooting.
Yeah, and I had like never shot a pistol.
And she was like, I don't want anyone else teaching me but you. And I was like, okay. I said, but there's going to come a point where I can't teach you anymore.
Hmm.
She's like, no, it's going to be you. And I was like, okay. She didn't understand what I was saying, but I was like, I 100% agree in saying that. And it doesn't matter. So I struggle with her telling me how to get my nutrition in check.
Yeah.
She is a genius. She's like, she knows exactly what to do. And I just was like, I have the same block with that she had with the shooting. And so I'm trying to do better. I'm listening to her now. I'm tracking my macros and I'm doing better. But like there was 100% a block there.
Yeah.
And that's what, for me, I said, look, go talk to Jared.
Yeah.
And so she went and shot with Jared and she goes, oh, Jared told me this, and this. And I was like,
It
that's great
be the
advice.
same thing that he had
I
told
said,
me.
man, that sounds like great advice. And she would stop and she goes, you told me that, didn't you? I said, I did. I said, however, I knew you had to hear it from someone else, and that's
Yep.
okay. So, so
Yep.
the, Blaine, her coach, um, was that person for her,
Yeah.
and he even came out to nationals last year.
Not year before last. Yeah,
Yeah,
so like I wasn't even expecting
yeah,
that, but
not
like
yeah,
he came out to nationals and just like watched me shoot and he was like, "Look, like cuz it was the first year he had worked with me. He's like, "Look, we're just going to see what you can do. This is the first year I've worked with you. Like this is kind of like a clean slate. Like we're going to find your weaknesses, like look at them, see what your penalties are at the end of the weekend and then like hit the ground running. And like, next year's going to be our year. So like 2024.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay. And like he drove all the way to Texas. And I mean, just because he had confidence in me and he was like, hey, I mean, I know that you could be truly great at this. So I would say, I mean, and I don't work with him as much anymore. He is like 45 minutes from my house, but like I took all of the things that he taught me and he showed me and like now I'm able to incorporate those things on my own. Like I'm able to go to the range and like remember, so if I do like shank a shot or like, something's off, I can be like, okay, and I think back to the corrections that he made and I can go through kind of a checklist. He helped me diagnose myself, which is
Yep.
something that people explain to me like, oh, you have to be able to diagnose what you did wrong. And he used to say that. He'd be like, what did you do wrong? And
Yep.
I don't know. And he's like, okay, well, you might not know now, but you need to start thinking about that. You need to start thinking about everything you do before the shot goes off because eventually it's going to click to you what I'm talking to you about when I say diagnose your shot. And one day the light bulb's going to go off and this is going to help you. And it did. Like one day I was like at the range and I completely understood. Like I shot, I was doing my warm up and I like shanked a shot and I was like, oh, I had too much finger on the trigger. And I was like, I just diagnosed myself. It's like I didn't.
Hell yeah. I had a coach just like that on the team. He's a good friend. Um, he would just stand there and he was like, "What'd you do wrong?" And at first, the first few times, it's just I don't fucking know, man.
Yeah.
fuck, what are you asking me here? Like, you're my coach. You tell me. He's like, you need to learn how to call your own shots. And after so many reps and sets and time on the range, it does just click. It's like a light bulb just goes off. And like, Nate, you understand this with long range shooting. You can tell like immediately when you're not going to hit that target before you even hear you do or you don't hear a ping, and you just send that round automatically. And it's probably one of the most beautiful feelings, especially whenever that light bulb does go off, because it's like, yep, I need to send another shot, or this is what I did. Like that, or, more specifically, that pistol shot, that round is going to go low left.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
like, like that is that it's a cool feeling. And for those who haven't felt it, like, yeah, it's going to take some time. It's going to take effort on the range, and it's going to take discipline, but it does come, and it is like a light bulb, and it just happens.
So Blayr was like in a really unique situation because she probably had combined maybe 40 to 50 years of shooting experience, you know, giving,
Right there.
like,
Mhm.
she was drinking from a fire hose and everyone was like, hey, this, and this. And it's like what really allowed her to digest that information truly was rounds, right? So it's like once you get to a certain point, you don't need to shoot as much,
Mm-hmm.
but you cannot make up if you haven't put the rounds down range, like, and you got to be careful when you're talking to newer shooters about this because you'll
Well,
see very confusing.
no amount of dry fire is going to correct not understanding what it is to put those rounds down range, because you're not getting the same recoil impulse. You're not getting the same, you're getting the sight picture, but you're not seeing what the sights are actually doing.
Correct. Yes. And so it's like, and then, they'll say like, well, you told me dry fire is just, yes, dry fire is important. Live fire is the validation of what you are doing in dry fire. And if it's not working, that means that you need to change something. So like there's some really cool tools that are coming out now, like that cool fire trainer for pistols.
Yeah.
And like,
Ace VR.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Does that give you like recoil?
No, no, I haven't messed with it. I don't believe so. It's not like it's one of like the Ismit guns or anything like that. It's just a model. But what it does give you is it gives you, the trigger feel, it gives you the hand-eye coordination, the eyes, it gives you your sight. It gives you those aspects.
Yeah. So I mean that's uh yeah. And it wasn't until she started getting those rounds down, and I would hear her and she was so excited. She was like, hey, this is what I learned today. Hey, this is what happened. I was like, that's it.
Mhm.
And you can't like she had to make up. She basically had to catch up from like, by the time I took her shooting, I think what that was 2019. No, no, no. I mean, I've been shooting 20 years,
Hmm.
right? And she was trying to, it's hard to make up that time, but she did it. Like,
Yeah.
man, I've met few people more driven than her. Like she finds a goal and she like crushes it, like crushes it.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That truly is really cool.
Someone that's extremely coachable and driven and goal orientated. Like she she's like every coach's dream to work with. Like she's very good at what she does.
I was this past weekend, I bought my daughter her first pistol, and I took her out, and she shot my rifle. And I mean, Nate, you'd be proud. I mean, she can hit a 2-inch target at 100 yards. She can hit an 8-inch plate or no, a 2-inch target at 100, and then a 8-inch plate at 300. Like,
That's
and
impressive.
and and she's extremely coachable, like every time. Like, and so whenever I took her out to shoot pistol, I was like, hey, this is no different than the rifle. This is like, I always take the first shot with her, where I put my finger over her finger so she can feels what a correct trigger press feels like, and I what a grip feels like. And then after that, she's got it. And I don't give her a fire hose of information, because she's 11 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I want her to focus on proper trigger control, and she shot 100 rounds this weekend alone, and she hit 100 targets. She didn't miss one target.
There you
And
go.
it's like, the grip will come. Like I'm not, she searches for her dots, the dot every now and again, but for the most part, like she finds a dot, then she hits the target. And it's like good on you. And like she looks on, I'll be like, look, you're shooting far better than I ever did whenever I learned how to shoot. And I didn't learn how to shoot until I was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong about the way we learn, but you and I know, Nate, like in the Marine Corps, like those guys are just regurgitating information that they learn. It's not like it's their full-time job. They only know what they know. So, the level of instruction is only as good as 2 weeks of training as a coach,
Yeah.
where, you know, like I'm trying to give her the best level of training for her age in such a way that she can understand it and pick it up and realistically build the confidence in a skill and ability that most other people don't get.
And at the end of the day, it's still supposed to be fun, right? So it's
Yeah.
not a dissertation on how you're supposed to be doing this stuff.
Hmm.
It's supposed to be fun because once it's fun, then they want to learn more, right?
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but like, oh yeah, so like you, I didn't shoot really before the Marines. Like I didn't hunt, I didn't do
Hmm.
anything. I had a 1022 that I shot like a handful of times right before I went in the Marines, and a lot of what I was taught was negative reinforcement, right? You
Yep.
know, you wanted to do good, so you didn't get, you know,
Thrashed.
ridiculed, and yeah, like you didn't get punished, right? Like you didn't get. So it was like, luckily I was a very naturally good shooter, and so I did okay.
I
But
was not.
yeah, so like that's something that I try and do with other people. I try to make it a more positive environment. Like in the beginning with Blair, it was a positive environment, but as time went on, it was not a positive environment. That had more to do again with like my job and being like just in a bad place. But
Stressed.
yeah, I was super stressed. And so I was there. And so Blair she grew up a hunter. What I didn't realize is that she talked a big game, or as she would say, that cash money shit. And so she was like, yeah, I know all this stuff.
It's
And
like,
so,
yeah, I know how to do that.
yeah, I know how to do all
I can
that.
shoot a gun.
So we would go shoot and she wasn't like, hitting. And I was like, are you messing with me right now? Like, I thought she was messing with me. So I get aggravated. And I was like, stop it. Come
Yeah, I
on.
was just letting you win. I didn't want you to,
Yeah, yeah. And then she's like, why are you so mean? And I was like, I said, wait a minute. You're not joking. You're not messing with me. She goes, no. And I was
I
like,
thought that was even meaner. Like, you're naturally this bad. You're not just joking.
I didn't say,
You really suck this much.
I,
You're not just joking, right?
I didn't say that, but that's what I meant. Yeah. So.
No, I like what you said about the positive reinforcement, and I know I've said this on the podcast in the past, and even in a most recent episode that I recorded. About mental health, but like when teaching kids, when teaching adults, it's not about pointing out what they did wrong, like because there'll be time to learn that. It's about pointing out what did they do right so they keep getting better at that, and then like helping them and reinforce getting better in all the other areas. Like if you just point out everything they do wrong, they're not going to want to continue coming back to it.
Yeah.
So always stay positive and point out what they do right.
Yep.
Mhm.
100%.
So you both earned podium finishes at the most recent TTG Nats this past year. Um, what kind of conversations do you have with each other, and how much do you lean on each other leading up to nationals and realistically any major event?
Quite a bit. So I guess working backwards, at the end of every event, Blair always looks at me and she goes, okay, let's do it. And she'll say, what went well, what didn't.
Yeah, we normally have like a after action. We had a long ride home most of the time, like 7 hours, 8 hours, or whatever. So we'll just talk about like each stage. He'll go, then I'll go, or I'll go, then he'll go.
There has to be pizza and or ice cream involved for this conversation to go well. Uh, so yeah, we'll definitely analyze, and we have really good constructive conversations about it. And we'll say, hey, I might not get to see every stage that she does, and she won't see every stage of mine, but we're like, what was your worst stage? And we'll talk about it and we'll pull up on practice score and be like, okay, well, let's talk about it. And then, what was your best stage? And we'll, pull it up, we'll talk about it. And then, you know, we'll try and find things, make notes of what we need to work on for next time, like gear, like what worked, what didn't,
Hmm. Yeah.
she recently swapped from a second focal plane scope to a first focal plane scope. And at first she was kind of hesitant towards it. She's like, no, I know what I like. I
The
have this
first
right
time
here.
I shot, I was like, I don't think this is gonna work.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, it was the first time that I had looked through the reticle. I mean, and I was like, oh man, I don't think this is gonna work. Like he's watching me, he's watching my target, and was I like not even hitting the
No,
target?
you were hitting the target. It just had vertical stringing because you would,
Mm.
I was looking at the dot. So the way
oh,
night
oh,
forces is like you
yeah.
have two dots in the center dot, right? And I
Mhm.
was like
Yeah.
completely browned out and was like at the dot above the center dot, like holding center mass.
Yeah. So,
And he's like, are you aiming center mass?
yeah. So, like, it was, I forgot to tell her because I did that too when I
And
first
she's
used
like,
it.
damn it. I
Yeah.
hate this thing.
Yeah. So, like, on the Night Force DMX reticle, like, you can hold under. They got two mil dots above, and
Mhm.
I did it too. Like, I told her afterwards, like, I did it too. When I first swapped over to that scope, I swapped to the 1 mil above center, and I was like, why am I hitting so weird? And I was like, oh yeah, dun dun dun. And, I'm like up there. So, but she had that moment, and I was like, oh okay, well you just gotta hit right here. It's like okay, and then she would shoot, and then she'd look at me, and then she would
But
shoot, and then she would look at me, and so it had some vertical stringing,
But
and
dude, that was like my pregnancy hormones. I know we're not supposed to talk about this till later. But my pregnancy hormones were like raging. So he was like, are you good? And I was like, why are you being so mean to me? I like ran to the porta potty to cry. He followed me. I was like, I can't do this. I'm not gonna do well in Arizona. I I want to go home. I hate it here.
yeah. So to be fair, I looked at her because we just had that whole I was aiming on the wrong dot. So I looked at her, I was like, are you good? Like as in, like where do we know where we're aiming? And she was like, she took it as like,
Like, hey
Why are
moron.
you yelling at me?
yeah,
Moron, do you know how to use your scope yet? Or do you need another 5 minutes?
yeah. So I was like, I kind of realized I was like, oh my God. I said, did I do something? I was like, so I kind of followed her. She's like, just I need a moment. I was like, no, no, this is like we're gonna hug it out, bro. We're gonna hug it out. So I followed her to a porta potty, and she was like, you
Oh.
really got to go now. And I was like, all right. So, but
And then there you were standing right outside the porta potty when she came out.
yeah, if I had had a boombox, that would have made it that much better. And like, yeah, and be like,
Oh
bring it in.
man.
But
Um, but
Oh,
no,
I'll forward this to you. A friend of mine just sent me a Spotify music list or whatever you want to call it of 2016 white girl bangers.
yes, yeah, that's gonna hit the gym.
oh my God.
The but so but during the competition, um, we definitely like we lean on each other's strengths.
I mean,
So
I don't know if I help you as much as you help
no,
me.
you do. Like so, I'll look at her and be like, hey, what do I need to eat, and when do I need to eat it?
Oh yeah, you do. He'll walk
And
up to me and he's like, I need to eat something. What
or
should that be?
or more often than not, she looks at me and she goes, hey, Big Shoots, have you eaten yet? And I'm like, no. She goes, you think that's a good idea? You happy with that? And I was like, no. She's like, okay, how about you eat this? And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Like, hey, Hot Rod, how about you eat something?
Yeah.
Fuck,
So,
I need somebody to do that for me because I'm that guy. I am that dude. And in the military, it actually I paid the price for it real bad. I got rhabdo. And like I thought I was gonna die that night. But I am that guy that will, in the past I've gone to TTG events and I've done nothing but like maybe drink some fluids and eat a candy bar or I don't refuel myself after every event. And like yeah, it's the worst thing that you can do. And I just suffer it out through the whole day because that's what I've done for 20 years. And I
Yeah.
find it very hard to eat. Like eating becomes a chore whenever when you physically exert yourself like that. Even after whenever I get done in the gym here at the house, I'll go drink a protein shake, and that's all I do. Like, and my wife made dinner and everything, but it's like she's like, "Are you hungry?" I was like, "No," and then I won't eat that night.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
she like is always flabbergasted because it's like when I'm and it's funny because as you were talking, I was like, it must have been a Marine thing because like we really like you would you get your MREs and you would split them up and you would make them for like a
You rat fuck them and find out what's the best thing that you want.
yeah. So it's like and I would you learn like, anyone who's ever had to actually live off of MREs, not like oh I have one here and there and then I go eat at the chow hall like not the little fable. It's like the people who actually had to live on
Yes,
MREs, like you would have you like when you went on patrol, like you carried a main meal, you carried a snack, and you carried your crackers and your cheese or peanut butter, like because you
and you
can't,
ate it cold.
yeah, and you cannot eat it all at once, like you not move,
No.
like because first off, you didn't have enough water, like they gave you like 4 bottles of water, and like here, this is gonna last you a week. I'm like, cool, and like you wonder why we were so messed up on the insides now, but like the so she'll just be like, "Why are you not eating?" And I was like,
I
I've
can't.
learned to just not eat and work off of that. Like I would go 18 hours and I maybe would have had like a protein shake or a bar or
Mm-hmm.
it's just caffeine. And
Yeah.
hopefully I drink water.
Mhm.
Yep.
But she's helped me out a lot. So like she might not think she helps me, but she does. Like she's really good at having structure. Like, hey, we have this food, we have this, we're bringing this, eat this. You're gonna, um, I'll help her with,
For me, I'm like, how did you sit and or like how did you shoot with this barricade? Did you
yeah,
sit? Did you kneel? Did you,
yeah,
whatever? If he's done something before me, like if he's done a stage before me,
yeah,
um, or I'll be like, hey, I really need to dial out to 320 yards. Like, can you help me dial to that?
yeah.
You know?
Making a range card, doing stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
and Blair will go do like a super physical stage, and she'll be like, "Hey, this is what I did. You know, if I had it to do over again, this is what I would do,
Mm-hmm.
or this is the plan. You should, definitely do this." I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so like we definitely help each other out a lot, and we're bringing friends into this now, and so we do the same thing with them, and they're starting to gather onto it. So we usually when we go, we have like a little island, and we
Mhm.
when we're done with the stages, we all come back, clean our mags, get ready, reset, talk about it, eat, do
Mhm.
something, hydrate, and that's kind of become our routine now. Is that yes, you're there to see friends, yes, you want to have a good time, but you're also there to compete. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like in the very beginning, she would tell me, she goes, it takes you an hour to get from a stage. And I was like, yeah, well, there's always people talking. It's like, yeah, but you got to get ready for the next one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take, say, don't be rude, but like, hey, I'm heading to, just now it's like, I don't want people to think I'm being rude, but like when I'm done with the stage, like I got to
You
get back.
got shit to do.
Yeah. Like we got to get back. We got to clean our mags. We got to load our mags, check our weapons, make sure everything's good. If we can eat, drink, do whatever, work out, like take a we bring a rehab box when we drive. So like we have like a massage gun, we bring our Normatec boots, or like a Graston tools, and like, it's tough,
Mm-hmm.
We got
and
the whole recovery set up.
yeah, so
We
like
could fix anything from the crack of dawn to a broken heart in
yeah.
that box.
Oh hell yeah! I think I know where I'm hanging out.
Yeah. So it's like we have like we try and build a little
At Nationals, it was like full triage in the parking lot.
yeah, that's facts. Like we were doing work.
Oh man.
We were stopping leaks and doing everything. So I would just show up and I was bleeding from my legs, and people were like, "You're bleeding," and I was like, "Oh yeah." They're like, "How did you even do that?" I was like, "I don't know, something over there. I don't know." But
I had a similar experience a few weeks ago. I did a 4.5 mile run and gun up in Pennsylvania. It was 17 degrees out whenever I started the run.
God,
Yeah, it was pretty fucking miserable. Like, I love the cold. Like 30s and 40s is like perfect for me. Um, I was not prepared for 17 degrees, and I usually run pretty lightweight as it is. I threw my brown bear on that I was issued in the Marine Corps, and I ran with that. And I was like, this is probably a mistake. I'm probably gonna overheat, but I don't care right now because I'm uncomfortable and I'm thinking in the moment. And I ran the entire time, and it didn't impede me, but. I fell multiple times on that run because there was ice all over that place. Banged up my knee pretty bad, and it was I was a little worried about the knee, but it's 100% now. But I ripped my hand open and I Cerakoted my guns in blood, and I would get to each stage and like every RO at the stage was like, "Hey, do you need to get medical attention for your hand?" I was like, "Nope, I'm good." Are you sure? Like, how are you shooting with your hand as messed up as it is? I don't know. I don't feel it. Just keep on going.
yeah. That So anybody who's ever used like a Chile grip, like on a
Hmm.
20
Oh yeah, those are aggressive.
progressive, so like I would wreck my forearms when we would do like farmer's carry or whatever, or even on a staccato, like when I had my XL, the rear sight is like a razor.
Hmm.
It would slice my forearms open, and there's been more than one time where I've had to like clean my 2011 of blood, like the whole thing was just doused, and I was like,
Mm.
"Man, I gotta go." You wouldn't until you've done it, like you don't realize how hard blood is to clean up.
Mine are still on my guns. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
But you guys compete as a couple every match you guys go to. What advice would you both give towards any other couple looking to compete together at a TTG event?
Patience,
Yeah,
understanding,
yeah.
and um, it's actually harder to compete with your significant other, wife, spouse, whatever, or you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Because most people, when they're done, they just worry about themselves and they go back and they're done. Like when I'm done,
You're checking on her.
yeah, I'm checking. I'm going to see. I'm going to like film her, go to get some, see how she's doing. Um, Making sure that she's set up for the next stage. And she does the same thing for me. So it's like
Hmm.
I mean, it's not easier going with someone else. It's actually a little bit harder mentally. Um, However, I think the reward is way more than double. Like being able to see her do well, see her have a great stage, do whatever, like that. That's it, man. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I would say it's enhanced our marriage. It's like made our relationship stronger. Um, it's just, I mean, not only do you have something in common, but like you're also kind of like in the thick of it with each other. It's like whenever you lose, you're there. When you win, you're there. When you have a bad stage, you're there, you know. Uh,
And you understand each other, what each other's going through.
exactly, you know.
it's just another form of trauma bonding.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
But no, I mean, it's probably one of the most rewarding things, so there's some friends of ours from Baton Rouge that they started like, so his name's Jason and Mel Jerusalem, and Jason started competing first, and then his wife Mel started competing, and that's just been really cool to see that too. And they're getting really excited on shooting more, and they're wanting to do more, and so it's cool when you get to see another couple. come in and shoot. We have some others that are in there, like like Sal and Lupe are there, and um, I'm probably gonna forget some, so forgive me. But like, there's other couples that are there, but there's not a ton. There really isn't,
Mm-mm.
and I wouldn't. In any time that I would compete and she's not there, or vice versa, like it just doesn't feel the same. It's not as much fun.
No, that's significant. That's special.
Yeah, it
Like no,
definitely.
I remember the first time I saw you guys, and it was the 2022 games, and it was at Panthera, and it was the stage that was far to the right of the bays, and like Blayr, I think you were running with a Husafelt stone, and that thing was fucking huge.
I strangled myself.
Yeah,
Choked herself out.
yeah. I remember watching that. I was just like, oh man. And Nate's just running. Like Nate's just took off with the sled, and you left Blayr in the back with the Husafelt stone.
Behind, I was like, help.
So here's the backstory to that. When we were setting this up, and I said, if you give me the sled, I can carry the Hoosville. It'll be easy. And she's like, no, I'm gonna do it this way. And I said, are you
I
sure?
think I think Blayr, you were yelling at him afterwards.
And so I got down to the end and I turned around and she was like halfway, not even halfway. And I'm like, what's going on? So I run back down and I am not even joking. That sled, uh, that toe strap that was around it was around her neck, and she was cyanotic. Her face was blue, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Give me that!" So I grabbed the whatever the hoosful, and I'm like, and she's like, "Can't breathe, going down," and I'm like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "What do you want me to take?" And I don't remember what I
I think
took.
you took the stone and ran because
Yeah,
I didn't put the strap on right. So when I went to run with it, it like jerked me backwards and like strangled me. And I was like,
yeah,
That
well,
that's right, because you had to carry two implements down there. That's what it was.
yep, yep.
yep. I
I
was
think I
like,
was doing a farmer's carry and some, or I had bags. I had like two
You
sets.
had you had a bag, and I think you had yeah, it was like a bag, and it was a farmer carry bar.
Yeah, so that's what it was. I had a bag and a farmer's carry. She had the sled and the hoosville, and that was
I saw that picture. I
yeah,
took a picture. And I was like, I really was like blue.
yeah. She like there was somebody else. There was one of the judges or one of the volunteers were like, I was so worried. You looked blue, and I was
I
like, yeah,
think that was Shannon. I think that
yeah,
was Shannon Cofield.
yeah. So
Mhm.
that was an interesting competition.
Mhm.
That was.
That
I
was fun.
did.
That
I
might have been
did.
the most fun one was I've ever done.
Mhm.
For me, that was one. Yeah, that I would say that like my last three were really fun. That I did. Like that one I did with a buddy of mine, Andy Brown, who I served on the Marine Corps shooting team with, and he'd gotten out of the Marine Corps, went into the sheriff's department, and this was the first time we'd seen each other in about 3 years. And so it was like, I hit him up one day. I was like, "Let's do this, man." He's like, all right, let's do it. And so like, it was 5 days before I retired.
Oh,
And I got to share that last competition in the Marine Corps with a good friend of mine that was on the team with me when I first got to the team.
that's huge. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
So Blayr, you're a nutritionist by trade, and we kind of talked a bit about nutrition. So can you expand upon a bit more about how important diet is in conjunction with competition?
Ugh, it's very, very important. I mean, you see a lot of people either not eat, they'll go all day without, eating anything, and then
Me.
yeah, it really sets you up for a rough day too, because you're going into day two in a really big deficit. So you're
Hmm.
kind of burying yourself, and you see a lot of people just tank. I'll never forget it. There was a guy at GTI in like 2019 or something. I'm not going to name his name because I don't want to
Oh,
embarrass
okay.
him. But he like had just gotten, he was in the tent. He was like, yeah, I'm keto, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I think I looked over at Nathan or I looked over at Jared and I was like, that guy's going to get halfway down the field with that sled and he's going to die. Like he's going to run completely out of gas. And like sure enough, like second round of the workout, like he went from running to like barely even a walk. So he comes back and I was like, "How is keto working for you?" Like, is that why I did what I just did out there? And I was like, "Yeah, there's a reason why carbohydrates are in the diet, and it's because of what you're doing right now. Like your energy output requires carbohydrate input." Like there are ways around it, but there's not any way around it when you're doing the sport that we're participating. So yeah, it's very important. And it's more important like what you're getting. So like carbs, fats, proteins, like when you eat them in conjunction with competition, like not eating, unless you're Jared Halbert, not eating, 3 spoonfuls of peanut butter before you go and do, a cardio event.
Yeah.
Because that's slower digesting. So it's going to sit there or it's not going to sit there and you're going to see it again
Hmm.
work out. Um, and just making sure like what kind of carbohydrates I mean, you can get in the weeds with it, but
Yeah.
it's very important, especially just make sure you're eating something, 2 hours at, at minimum before you go out there and compete. Um, and I mean, if you don't have any knowledge or, basis, you're just kind of in the dark about what to eat, really just making sure that you eat a little bit of fat and carbohydrates and proteins 2 hours before, like something that's balanced, like a sandwich.
Hmm.
There's a reason why your mom packed you a sandwich for lunch. Like it's because it's a pretty decent balance. It's probably gonna have lower protein, higher carb, but you're still getting carbs, fats, and proteins in there. So
Yeah. No. I I always tell myself this is going to be the competition where I eat food all throughout the entire competition. Then and it comes down to it, it's like I don't eat a damn thing, and it's just like I'll even have like a couple of my friends, like you guys know Carla, you guys know Laura Lee,
yeah.
like in South Carolina, and shoot, even up here in West Virginia when we did the team events in 2023, um, you know we all hung out in the same tent together and they're like, Matt, have you eaten anything today? No. Well, why don't you think about eating something right now? It's just like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
They're like, go get food. Here, eat this. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember
And
the first time I met James Gill
hmm
back in 2019. Like he
he'd shoot
didn't
a
drink,
stage, smoke a cigarette.
smoke a cigarette, and like
Mm-hmm.
I would, and he was still like in that really unhealthy. Like I would put him at like the PFC Lance Corporal diet. Basically, like you said, smoke,
Beer and cigarettes.
have like some sort of energy drink, and then he was like eating a ball of mozzarella cheese, and that was it. Like I think he also had some what's those pretzel sticks? The dots.
Oh
Mm.
yeah,
So
yeah,
he'd have like pretzel sticks and mozzarella cheese, and he's like, this is my food. I'm like, all right, probably need to change that a little bit, but all right. And he's
He's complete reverse now.
changed.
Like when
Yeah.
I talk to him, like, he's like, "Oh, yep, I'm getting this food ready. I'm doing this, I'm having this," or, if he has to go eat out somewhere, he's like, "Yep, I'm getting this and I'm getting this." And it's like it's all healthy. And, Tina's done a lot to really help him out in that regard.
Yeah. Like it's awesome to see James. Like I've known him for, I mean, it's crazy to think now, 6 years. So it's like he's come a long way, and it's super encouraging seeing him where he's at now from where he was. So
Yeah.
it's cool.
So
Makes a big difference.
so you kind of already blew it out, there, Blayr, with your pregnancy hormones. But what does 2025 look like for you two?
So we both competed in Arizona. And we both won first place in our division. And with that win, I announced my pregnancy. So I am 16 weeks pregnant.
Going up on 17. Yeah.
Yeah, coming up on 17 weeks. I was gonna do Florida, but Nathan narked me out to the doctor yesterday, and now I can't compete in Florida. So,
I'll take that heat.
um,
So I assume your season is kind of over for the time being.
yeah, yeah, mine's over. I'm kind of looking at competing at nationals. I'll be 3 months postpartum by then. Maybe in a division under,
Hmm.
it really just depends on, what my pregnancy looks like and how things go.
And how
I'm
your recovery goes afterwards.
I don't really have like any I would be lying if I said that. I always have expectations.
Yeah.
You're gonna be a Tia Claire Toomey, come back and win it.
I always have expectations of myself. Sometimes I don't give myself enough grace, but I like definitely understand that, this is the first time I'm doing this. This is my first rodeo, so I don't really know how my body's going to recover. And I definitely am not going to do anything that's going to, push my body into a spot where it takes me even longer to recover and I can't come back next season. So just gonna play it by ear. Nathan's got a bunch of competitions. He's competing in Florida.
Yeah, so Florida was supposed to be our first event of the year. And then
Okay.
when when we found out she was pregnant, we pulled an audible and we made it our goal to both try and mainly for her, like uh, qualify for nationals, so then you could shut it down for the rest of the year. And then so we're she's due in August, so that would give her about 3 months, and we'll, like she said, play it by ear by there. That's the plan, right? So, and then after after Arizona, she's like, "Oh, I'm going to Florida," and then after Florida, I'm going to Reno, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like one of those conversations where she's not going to hear anything I say. So I'm like,
One of our friends today said if I were Nathan, I would tie you to a wheelchair
yeah,
and let you take walks around the lake if you were nice.
yeah. It's like, if you're nice, I'll take you on walks around the park. Yeah. So
My doctor walked in yesterday for our appointment and said, "So we're done competing?" And I was like, and
she's
she
like,
goes, "Oh boy. Oh." And I was like, what percentage would you give it on if it's a good idea versus a bad idea?
and
She's like, I'm pretty sure I would say it's like an 80 to 90% bad idea.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, then she started going over what could go wrong, and that's when that clicked, and she's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is bad." I was like, "Yeah." So I was,
Yeah.
you know,
You did everything to where you didn't have to you didn't take the brunt of it. You deflected it to the doctor to make her say something.
Yeah.
yeah. So
He
I
asked the question, and I was like, that wasn't one of the questions we went over before the appointment.
yeah, I've learned to, tact. As we all know, as good Marines, like we all know, tact is a one of the great leadership traits. So I I
You asked the probing questions that were required, not
yeah.
what they want to hear, but what they need to hear.
So yeah. So that was that. So we're gonna have uh, we are having a girl. So we found out we're having a
Mm-hmm.
girl.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. And I'll say as a father, like I wanted a boy so bad. And I'll tell you a story after the show that is not appropriate for the show. And everybody's gonna hit me up like, tell us what it is. No, I will not repeat this like live. But as a dad, obviously guys want a boy. They want somebody that they can raise after themselves. Having a girl was the best thing in my life. Like she is my life, and I couldn't be happier. It's the one thing that has like truly. made my life that much better. You know, it gives me a purpose to live.
Yeah, and so like so Blair and I were raised polar opposite. So like I grew up in a divorced household and I was raised by my dad and then it was just my dad, my brother and me and so I don't and then I went in the Marines and I was in division so there was no females around. So like I grew up I've just always been around dudes
Dudes.
my whole life. And so my first exposure to living and being around women a lot was with Blair, and so I've had a lot of life lessons. And she was telling me, she's like, "You're nervous, you're nervous." I was like, I'm not nervous. Like I'm anxious because it's something new, but like I've had a lot of
Mhm.
guys in my life, like from the fire department to like Marines and everything else, and like they've all echoed what you just said. They said nothing beats being a girl dad. Like that is the best. And this is some of them have boys and girls, and they're like, he's like, I love my son, but he's like, the daughter is different. It's just it's different in a good way. And it's like, um, they said the ones that have both, they're a lot more fun. He's like, there's probably like 3 years, 4 years where you're really gonna they're gonna test your existence. He's like, but after that, it's fine. And I was
Hmm.
like, so
I feel extremely lucky. Like my daughter's like all the teachers love her. She's the quiet one. She's like the angel in the room. Like she doesn't do anything wrong. It was kind of funny one day, you know, I was talking to her and I was like, "Have you ever cursed before?" Because well, have you do you curse at school? I've heard her curse under her breath, like when nobody's around or she doesn't think anybody's watching, and I'm just like, yes. And so one day I just asked her, I was like, have you ever said, you know, bad words at school before? And she, oh, I remember where I was. I was over at my buddy Darren's house, and you know, both are, you know, his daughter and my daughter. They were hanging out together, and I just asked her in front of Fiona. I was like, "You ever, you know, say fuck before?" And she looks at me like, "Am I in trouble?" I was like you're not gonna get in trouble. I just want to know if you ever said the word fuck." And she's like, "Yes." I was like, "Was it at school?" Yes. Where was it? On the playground. I was like, okay, cool.
she missed the best opportunity. She could have looked at you and said, "Fuck yeah, I have." I'm like,
I know.
but no, I'm excited. Uh, I honestly didn't have, I didn't, so I didn't really have, I wanted more of a boy or a girl. Honestly, I was just more happy that I was becoming a dad. And I know that I might sound like cliche or whatever, but no, I was just really happy. But
When you
Blair,
found out, you were like, I don't know what to do with a girl.
I was like, I'm about to learn because I have no clue. I was like, I said, I'm gonna be a dance dad out
A
there.
dance
I'm
dad.
gonna be doing choreography in the
Oh my
stands,
gosh.
and then I'm gonna go teach her how to shoot. So
I wanted to play sports so bad, but I know she's probably gonna come out like a tutued ballerina or something.
Dude, that was one of my biggest concerns, like because like my mother-in-law is like all about the pink and this and that, and my daughter grew, you know, original room. Like I was like, I don't want any pink, I don't want any of this. You know, I painted the walls gray, and then pink window curtains go up, and I'm just like, and for quite a while there, like pink was her color, and I mean, I was fine with it. It was all good. Now it's like she's grown out of that phase, and you know, you know, a friend of mine, one of my coworkers, like he hits me up one day. He's like, a couple days ago, he's like, "Hey, you want to give your daughter a guitar?" He's like, "I have way too many guitars. You want to give her a guitar?" Fuck it, why not? Yeah. He's like, "Okay, give her this guitar." Okay, cool. And so I brought it to her yesterday. She had no idea she was getting it. And she, you know, I was like, "You like it?" She's like, "Yes, yes." And I was like, "All right, I'll teach you how to play it sometime." And you know, you know, it's really just cool seeing the interest and the spark and the excitement.
yeah,
Mhm.
so I'm joking when I was saying that, but I'm pretty sure like so both of Blair and I both grew up playing sports, so like
Mm.
I think that's definitely going to be. I think that's something where we can kind of have that.
Shape them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so like I'm gonna. I've never played volleyball, but I mean, like I'll be there. I'll
I'm gonna
learn.
be coach.
I'll learn volleyball. Like I'll figure it out. Like I'm all about it. So, but whatever they want to do. Like, I mean, I was in band too for a while, so it'll just whatever they want to do, as long as they want to be the best
As
at it.
long as they're happy.
Yeah, we're gonna
But
go. I'll be at a. I'll be out there like because I played the clarinet, so it's like not the most exciting instrument out there.
I shoved your head in the toilet.
Um, well, well,
Except
it's been a good time, man. That's
you were 16 playing the clarinet. I was 6. I was in kindergarten, so I couldn't have shoved your head in the toilet
yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's what Blair Blair's 9 years younger than me, and so she likes to tell people she's like, yeah, when Nathan was invading Iraq, I was like 10, and I was like, don't do that, like don't,
robbing the cradle a little bit.
yeah. Like when I met her, we were both well into being of age, so
Yes.
I was like, I was in 3rd grade when 9/11 happened. How old were you, Nathan?
it's like how was in boot camp?
God, Nate, you and I are at that age where it's like we hear people say stuff and you're just like, God, I'm fucking old now. Wow.
So
Time
like
has gone by.
in the with the fire department, like we'll go and when we have patients, we got to find out their date of birth. And there's people. So my fire station is by LSU, so it's all college kids, right? And so we're sitting there and like, how what's your date of birth? And they'll say like 2001, and you're like, no,
No, it's not.
no, it's not. Like you weren't born in 2001 and going to college. And then all of a sudden we think about it, we're like, it's
Yeah,
2020.
they were.
Yeah, they are. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah. We're
So
those guys now.
yeah, yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
Try not to say it out loud.
I get reminded every day by my friends. But I think we kind of covered everything. But before we do sign off, since we're old bastards and need to go to bed and Blair needs to do homework,
Definitely.
um, is there anything else that you guys like to leave the listeners with?
Um, well, I'll say this, shameless plug, like Blair helps people a lot with nutrition. So if you're and she does it remotely. So like if like I'll tell her like she helped me back in 2019, she helped me lose like 20 something pounds.
Mhm. Oh
And
yeah,
then
before Atlanta.
yeah, so like I lost a bunch of weight, she helped me out and then I gained it back, which was my fault, but if anyone's looking for help, like she can explain it in a really good way. Like she's very, very good at what she does. Um,
I guess we can plug sponsors. We both shoot for Kimber.
yep.
We're shooting the new 2K11 this whole season.
How you
Um,
liking it?
really like it. So, I mean, that really is what kind of started my warm-up process at the range because they gave us this gun 3 months before nationals.
3 months for you, a week before me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he got it a week before. So I was like, all
Oof.
right, I gotta learn this trigger. I have to like romance this trigger. Because I mean it's a little bit different than the haze. I mean every gun is, but is different. So I was shooting 100 rounds warm up a day, just like focusing on trigger feel, like just hammering it. But we really like it. I probably have, man, close to
You got about
six,
7,000
yeah,
rounds
I'm
on it.
like 6,000 rounds of that thing now.
Yeah. So
Um,
we've already replaced like recoil springs on hers. Like
yeah.
I probably have I haven't had enough time to shoot it. I maybe have like 1,000 on it. I don't have as much, but I probably have a little bit more than that. I'm probably,
You shot 200 at the match.
yeah, that's true. So I probably got 1,500 or something like that. But
Yeah.
no, like for the money, in the realm of where they're at, like and then so I'm honest with people that like, it's not a $7,000 gun, so don't compare it to others, those that realm. Like this is more like you know,
The
in the realm.
consumer market that's more affordable and it's going to get you what you need to start in the 2011 realm.
Correct. And where it definitely hits it punches above its weight. So for what you're paying, you get a lot more than um other, and I'm not gonna like compare doing it right now, but like if you ask me in person, I would tell you, ask me in person and I'll tell you exactly what it needs to be said. But like for the other guns that are in that realm, right? So you get more for your bang for your buck, right? So you're getting out of the box, you're getting a better trigger, you're paying, there's two tiers, right? The entry level and then like the target model. The entry level, there you're not going to find another gun for that price point with those features. It doesn't exist in that market, right? They've done a really good job. They did a really good job on producing it. It's not mass made. It's they're a little slow getting out right now because the way they make them. They're making them right, and there's different things on them. And like I'm actually gonna put we're gonna put a video out on how to disassemble and like the stuff the details on them. So, but they're good guns. They've shot really well. They're accurate. Um, they are
Mhm.
really really good.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
I'm lucky enough to be sponsored by Supervel. That's why I have all the ammo to shoot. If it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have as many rounds downrange. So I really appreciate them.
Yep.
It's what I shoot in match and training.
Yep.
They're 124 grain for pistol, and then they're 77 grain primarily for match, but they're 55 too. So,
Yep. They're
Hell
they're
yeah.
they're 55 grain. So there's two types. There's the certified
Mhm.
select is great for just practicing with. And if you're doing like hoser matches, like yeah, just run that.
Hmm.
Their their range packs though,
Yeah,
that
super accurate.
that
Like,
is probably some of the most accurate 55 grain that I've shot. Like it's probably it it dances around MOA to like 1.25, like for 55 grain stuff.
That's good.
Impressive, like what Mike and them do. Like it's good ammo. Um, so like I obviously I hand load, so I'm actually fortunate to I work with Sierra, so like they sponsor me, so very fortunate for that. So I'm able to use Sierra products for reloading, um, which Superfell uses a lot of Sierra too. So, um, but let's see, Starline and um, Under Armour, U.S. Patriot.
mhm.
So, yep, I'm. I feel weird talking about sponsors. Like I'm that guy.
Um,
Like
You gotta shout them out.
yeah, like
It's
I
like you're shouting out your hood, You're
yeah.
like,
mhm.
I
You're
don't.
giving props to your
Yeah,
peeps.
like
yeah.
so I'm 100% super grateful for our sponsors. Like and I
Well, they help. I mean, they're graciously helping you, do something that you love.
yes,
Mhm.
and they're all great people. The ones that we deal with, like
And
it,
it's relationships that you've built.
yes, and I'd always don't want to come off as being like haughty or So, anyways,
Hey, you gotta shout out for the hood.
yeah, yeah, but
Hmm.
no, like they're very very grateful for them for helping us out because we couldn't do it without them. So, um, I'm gonna try and we're gonna end up doing some stuff outside of tactical games too. Like, so we're gonna start doing like USPSA stuff and
Yeah, he shut me
two
down from
gun.
tactical games, but he
Yeah,
hasn't shut me down from all realms of shooting
no,
yet.
no,
So,
she can still shoot. We just got to make sure she's not like running
yeah.
in, running into bars and things.
The amount of comments that I've gotten from men about my pregnancy has been astonishing to
In a
me.
good way.
Yeah.
No, like
Oh, well,
I've got
fuck them.
I've,
Straight up, fuck them. Fuck what they have to say. Like, who cares what that's how I look at that. Like, you do you.
I've gotten told my abs are gonna split in half.
Look at Annie Thor's daughter.
Yeah, Tia Tubin.
Like, yeah, Tia Claire Toomey, Ariel Lowen.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
look at them. Like, they're crushing it.
Like, excuse me, sir, how many children have you birthed?
Yeah.
Yeah. it was almost and she, I didn't understand it. She did, but I didn't. But she's like, she was hesitant to let people know because like as soon as people found out, they started treating her different. They started
Uh-huh. I told
giving her.
him, I was like, if our parents wouldn't have had diarrhea over the fact that they just could not wait to tell the world
Hmm.
we were pregnant, and like he too, like him too, like he was so excited he wanted to tell like everybody. And I mean, I get it. I wouldn't have told anyone. Like people have been like, are you pregnant?" I'd be like, "No, I have bot flies." Like, "No, no, it's a tumor." I wouldn't have told anyone. I would have been like, "Are you calling me fat?"
Guilt them.
Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't have told a soul because the second that the news got out, like people were like, "Oh, so like when are you gonna stop working out?" Like, "Oh, what can
Why
you
am
not
I going to stop working out?
us?"
Yeah.
I'm like,
Like, working out doesn't hurt a pregnancy, it actually helps it.
Yeah.
not yeah, exactly, 100%.
Yeah. But
So
no, that's pretty much it.
yeah.
Just looking forward to growing our little squad. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hmm.
Building the tribe.
Little
Yep.
drumette.
Little smoke.
Teach her the clarinet.
Yeah. And mom's gonna make fun of her.
I'm gonna teach her how to avoid getting her head flushed down the toilet. I'll teach her how to run fast.
That's gonna be me, not you. I could still outrun you with a bad ankle.
Definitely can outrun me now.
But
But hey, guys, I really appreciate this. Like, this was a fun conversation. I had a lot of fun doing this, and like leading up to like the recording, like Nate was like, "We're not ignoring you. There's stuff going on." And I mean,
They're like, "Do you have
it-
cancer, bro? What's going
yeah, because
on?"
like we were supposed to do this months ago, and I was
yeah,
like, I'm not blowing you off. Like
yeah, and I knew
I'm
that.
trying to help her out. I'm trying to like, yeah. And so finally we were in Arizona, and I think I'd finally like we you had called and we were getting groceries
Yeah.
before the event. And I was like, hey, by the way, she's pregnant. That's why we haven't done anything yet. And you're like, oh,
Uh-huh.
okay. I was like, yeah, we're not blowing you off.
Yeah.
Like she wants to talk about it during your podcast. And he's like, oh, okay,
I was
gotcha.
like, I think it would be a whole lot cooler if like we don't have to hide it anymore on the podcast, or like me accidentally like say something and then be like, "Oh, oops."
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. This has been really fun. And to the listeners, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got some great insight, as what it takes to have partners compete together. There's a lot of good information that's just in this episode. But again, Nate, Blair, thank you so much. And to the listeners, thank you for listening.
Oh yeah. It's been great talking to you always. Always. Like
Thanks for having us.
always.
Absolutely.